Nowadays, in real life, a child has access to everything the parent has, but the parents don't have any access to things owned by the child. Same thing holds true in object-oriented programming as well. A child class can access everything a parent has, but a parent class cannot access anything from the child class. A mom says he has all access to all her things. He has access to all our things, but he won't allow us to use his iPad. Since the smartphone class is inheriting the phone class, the smartphone class inherits the constructor of the phone class. Look at this, it is a phone class and this is smartphone and feature phone. Both are inherited from phone. But smartphone, we have created an object for smartphone. The moment you pass the values to a constructor, but smartphone, it does not have any constructor, but still when you pass it, it automatically passes to a parent class constructor. Let's visualize the code. So we have a class and it has some attributes and smartphone, all that there. Feature phone class, it is extends phone, which means the feature phone class is inheriting phone class. This is a subclass or a derived class of this superclass phone class. Now we create an object, assigning it to a variable, reference variable to s, and we are passing 3 parameters. Let's see what happens. Since smartphone class has no constructor, it automatically goes to parent class constructor. Look at this. Price is initialized, brand, camera, all these attributes are initialized. A son says, thanks a lot dad for this awesome cycle and the further things. Son, you will never know how much I had to work hard to give you a happy life. In real life, even though the child has access to everything the parent has, the parents may not want their child to know about their difficulties. They may choose to keep their difficulties private so that the child knows only good things. Similarly, a child class cannot directly access the private attributes of the parent class. Look at this example. We have attributes like brand, price, brand, camera and price. Price is a private attribute. So when you're trying to access a private attribute, then we get a problem. Look at this, the same program which we ran before, which we executed before, the same constructor, but only difference is we have a private attribute named as price. So it says smartphone object has no attribute smartphone underscore price. Right? So it is hidden. It is hidden to the child class. So if you keep something private, it may not be directly accessible by a child class. That's a learning. Apart from attributes, the child class inherits the methods of the parent class as shown. Look at this, we have a constructor in it by return phone. These are two methods we have, and the smartphone, and for both the smartphone and feature phone classes have got nothing as of now. When the moment you create an instance for the smartphone class, now these values are passed to constructor of the parent class. Then we are trying to access, we are trying to buy, we are trying to call the method buy. Though it is a private attribute, when you pass attribute values to the constructor, it works well. But when you're trying to access it, that when the problem raises. Let's see how this works. So we create an instance for smartphone. We pass 3 values, 20,000 Apple and 13. Look at this, it's inside the constructor. Price, self underscore, double underscore price is a private attribute. So what happens is private attribute declared in the name of phone. Phone underscore double underscore price. Rest of the attributes are not so, because these attributes are accessible by both phone and smartphone classes. But you are trying to access it. Calling by is also not a problem, because it simply has a print message, so it is being called. That's not a problem. But if you compare with the previous example, if you go back and compare with the previous example, look at this. Now in this example, we are trying to access it. We are trying to print using self dot double underscore price. You are trying to print it. Unlike other variable, private cannot be directly accessed by a subclass. Dad says, I want to take over, or I want you to take over our family business. This gentleman says, no dad, I don't want to run our family business. I want to choose my own life. Sometimes a child may not want to use what it has inherited from the parent. The same holds true for object-oriented programming as well. If child classes does not want to use a method inherited from the parent class, then it may create its own method with the same name. When the child has a method with the same name as that of the parent, it is said to override the parent's method. Method overriding. This is called as a method overriding. Method overriding is also called as polymorphism. Poly means many forms. So we have by, and this class also has by. Look at this, both has by. Now if we call out s.by, and which method will be called? By in a phone class or by in a smartphone? Let's see. There's a code. So we have by method in the phone class, and we also have by method in the smartphone class. Since both are extended, the object we create, instance variable, the instance we create has access to both the methods, but how it is being called? Look at this. Smartphone, we have created an instance. Now the values are constructor. Since we do not have a constructor in a smartphone class, it uses phone class constructor. Values are assigned. Now we use s.by. Now let's see whether this by will be called or the by in the main class will be called. This by should be called. Right? I hope you are able to understand this. So to call a method which is there in the phone class, then we need to use the keyword named as super.byf. Visualize this. Now we are calling this method by, so it's being called. Now we use super keyword, super of by. What happens? I forgot to mention it. The super keyword should be part of a subclass or a method from which you want to call. So we cannot use it just like that here. We'll have to use it in the method to highlight the super which is in the parent class. Let's visualize this. So now we call this out super by. Constructors are being used, of the parent class constructor is being used. Now we call this method by, it goes up. Now super of by. When it says super using keyword call, it refers to the parent class method by. If any, it will be called. Then this method is executed. That's about it. We'll discuss about super in the next video. What is the output of the following code snippet? Look at this. We have a class parent and class child, and this is being inherited from the parent class. So we have method show here, and we have method we have a getter here, a get num. Now son is equal to child of 100. Child of 100 is which is nothing but we are passing a parameter, so there must be constructor. Since child has no constructor, it refers to the constructor which is part of parent class. So the value which we pass, that is being assigned to this num. It's a private attribute. Then using getter we can access the private attribute. That is fine. Then we have a child, and the son print son.get num. So this it should be 100. Get num should be 100. This is returning the num value. 100 is initialized, then 100 is written. Then son.show, it is a method. It is part of a child class. So this is in child class. So the output should be right. This should be the output. So remember, a parent constructor will be automatically invoked if a child class is not having a constructor. A parent method can be invoked using child object as it is inherited to the child. What is the output of the following code snippet? Look at this parent child, and we have we are creating a constructor child of 110. So this is being passed to value will have 100 and num will have 10. Now value is assigned with 100, no problem. But this num is not being used, right? So the parent class constructor is not called, so num value will not be initialized. So now parent num son.get num, you're trying to access the num which is there. So it was not initialized, so we will not get output. So child object has no attribute as num. Since it has not, the parent class constructor is not initialized, so child will not have access to this value, right? It will not be created. So that's a problem. So it threw an error message saying child object has no attribute as _num. So line 1 creates 11 creates an object with value 100, but since the constructor of the child class is not invoking parent class constructor, num _num is not created as an attribute of the son. So points to be noted: when parent and the child class are having constructor, it is compulsory to invoke the parent constructor from the child constructor using super keyword. What will be the output of the code given below? So we have classes named as A, B, and B is inherited from A. So we have display 1 and display 2, these two methods. Let's look at this constructor. It has a variable, attribute variable 1. Look at this, it is automatically initialized, is equal to 100, right? So the moment you create an object, it is being called parent class. Since the child class has no constructor, it goes to parent class constructor. So the variable 1 is assigned with 100. The moment you call out object 1.display of 200, it goes up, variable 1 will have 200. But look at this, we have a class A colon, it's a print message, self dot variable 1. So simply variable 1 will give us 100, self dot variable 1 is referring to this variable. So which means it should be A and 100. Points to be noted: when child class is not having a constructor, parent class constructor will be automatically called while creating the child object.